Welcome to Not the 9 to 5,
the podcast for freelancers
by freelancers.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out,
join us as we share insights, tips and stories
to help you thrive in the world of independent work.
I'm Kat.
And I'm Francesca.
We are two freelancers exploring the highs, lows
and everything in between. So grab your coffee, kick back,
and let's dive into another episode of Not the 9 to 5.
Katheryn Siggers.
Francesca Marago.
How are we?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm really good.
Good. I'm so excited for this one today. Now, she's someone I've spoken about on this podcast before. Okay. It is the one and only Hennessy. So she has what she describes as a patchwork career, which includes photography, videography, design, theatre and writing. She does it all. Kate was in her 30s before she figured out a career doesn't have to be conventional, and she's built a life and a business as a creative multi-hyphenate ever since. Kate has won many awards in her time, including the International Wedison Award for Best Wedding Photography, and has been featured as Best of for Vogue Italia. Ooh,
I love that.
Oh my God, welcome Kate.
Welcome.
Hello,
thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, so
Thanks
excited.
so much for being here. I need to dive straight into the Vogue Italia thing. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do, kind of how you've gone into the freelance world. First of all,
well, this was a question I was absolutely dreading, because when people ask me, what do you do? It depends on who's asking me, when they're asking me, why they're asking me, because I don't really define myself by any particular job title. It's more about the skill set that I have, because as Kat just said, I'm consider myself to be a multi-hyphenate, and I tend to kind of suggest that I am a career creative. So, as you've mentioned, I have skills in photography, videography, writing, content creation, and that kind of means that when you're asking me to do something, I kind of pick the skill that is best suited to you, and then I lead with that. It's not very straightforward, I'm afraid.
No, we find that as well, don't we? With all the things that we do, it's like, what do we do? What do we do? Well, we do lots of things.
That's it. And it actually summed it up. I mean, I've said this to you before, but I didn't know what a multi-hyphenate was. It was only when you said you're a multi-hyphenate, I was like,
literally, you
have. I was like, you're joking. I was like, literally. That was like last year.
You inspired the first season.
You did.
Like, literally, we've been using that word.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't.
Okay.
That's not a good omen.
We'll leave it there.
That's going to be a blooper, isn't it?
I love that. Yeah, literally.
I didn't know, and you use it now.
Yeah,
as well,
I use it all
you?
the time now.
Because it just
covers everything.
Because otherwise you're like, well, I do this, I do that, and it sounds like you don't really know what you do. You do know what you do, but it's so hard. That's it, indecisive, and then people are like, oh well,
because people feel like you don't specialise in that, like one thing,
but
because
actually,
most people do.
Yeah, but we specialise in lots of things.
Yes, that's a good way. Master of many.
Master of many, exactly. So how did you get into your freelance career? Like, what was your first freelance job, would you say?
Well, I think when I was at school, the careers advice, I went to a grammar school, so the careers advice was really limited to academic careers, your doctors, your dentists, your lawyers, that kind of thing. And being a creative wasn't really sold to us as a legitimate career option. So when I was, I'd just done my A-levels, I auditioned for drama school and didn't get in. So that was quite devastating for me at the time. And then I had this year where I thought, well, what am I going to do? I have no idea what I'm going to do now. So I tried out lots of things. I tried out retail, bra fitting. I stacked Cokes in a can machine. I literally tried everything and was miserable. And I just couldn't understand how people were able to religiously stick to this 9 to 5 routine. And I wondered whether it was me. Was I defective in some way? Was I lazy? Why couldn't I stick at a job? And then the second year I auditioned for drama school, I got in, and then I discovered I really hated it. So again, I was kind of back to square one. And so I decided I'd become a teacher. Did a degree in teaching, absolutely loved the degree, got a first, but didn't want to be a teacher. So it was just this constant kind of cycle of things that I thought I'd try and fail at or not want to do. And I think that kind of broadened my skill set, broadened my horizons until I had this kind of plethora of skills that then I thought, well, what can I do with all of those things? And it kind of grew quite organically. I discovered photography as a hobby and people would ask me to do shoots for them, and eventually got to the point where I was charging just to cover the car park and expenses, and it kind of just grew and grew and grew quite organically until I found myself as a photographer. So it's never something I intended to do. I fell into it and kind of just expanded as I got older.
Oh wow,
That's brilliant.
So when you said that you were at uni and you were studying, what did you study? You said you're teaching, but
Primary education.
Yeah.
So I did publishing for a little while as well, and I wrote books because I worked in schools and released some of the teaching resources that I'd made, and that's still running to this day.
Wow.
It's just another business that I have. And yeah, so that was it really.
Oh my gosh.
That's so cool.
And so then fast forward a little bit to like kind of getting awards and stuff. Like, how did you get yourself to that space? Was that something you actively wanted?
No. Like I say, I've never really sort of had this career trajectory in mind. It's just every year I look at where I am and I think, well, what can I do this year to improve my marketing or to earn more money? And those things just kind of happened as I went along. And as you build your skill set, you become known for something. But I think that being a multi-hyphenate in your 20s is a really fabulous thing, because you're very desirable. You have all these skills that people want, and the more you can do, the more chances you have of meeting people that want what you can offer. However, I think as you kind of get into your 30s, particularly into sort of 35 onwards, you start to suffer for it, unfortunately, because you're not a specialist. And if you want to kind of command those higher levels of income, you do need to kind of start thinking about who you are and what you really want to offer, because being a generalist at that point has a bit of a ceiling, I think. So I think for me in the last few years, I've really had to kind of sit down and think about, what do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? How can I get to the financial position that I want to be in? And I think at this point, I'm having to start to specialise a bit more.
Okay.
So it's constantly refining what you offer and what you do year on year.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the photography work that you do and the feature in Best of Vogue Italia. How did that come about?
So photographers all over the world can submit their images to Vogue, and they have a selection process whereby they choose the best of. And my photo happened to be chosen and was featured on Vogue Italia. And I don't tend to kind of use that to produce more income as such. It's just a nice little thing for my email signature.
Yeah, I love that.
What
image was it? What was the image that you took?
It was of a bride in a pink Cadillac.
Cute. That's cool. Love that.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
That's so cool.
So you talk about like having more of an income. Like, do you kind of find that it's an unstable career to have in terms of a stable income, or how have you managed that now through the years?
It is a really unstable income. There's no two ways about it. I think you can kind of, it depends on how you approach it. I think when I was younger, I had lots of short-term clients. And as I've got older, I've preferred to work longer term with fewer clients, because that way you've got some more predictability in income. And that becomes more important as you have a family and a mortgage. And so that's how I tend to work now. But obviously, there's still fluctuations and variations in that income. So some months I'm sitting there with my spreadsheet.
Got a lot of spreadsheet.
Can I pay my mortgage this month? Is the money coming in at the right time?
Yeah.
So I think it's really about putting in processes and systems that help support you and your business to make sure that you're not in a desperate situation.
Have you ever been in a like a strugglesome situation with your work?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And it can be quite depressing, because then you question everything and you think, well, have I made the right choices in life? And I can feel quite depressed at times, because I'm not where I thought I would be, and then the next month it'll all be fine again.
Yeah.
So I think you have to kind of be the kind of person that's able to ride the waves and keep sort of constantly reassessing whether you're in the right sphere of things, and just micro adjusting to make sure that you can sustain that income.
Did you ever think you'd go back into a 9-to-5? Was that ever a consideration for you?
Yes, it was more of a fear than a consideration, because I think we're all in that that situation where, you know, you've got bills to pay and you have to do what you need to do, especially when you do have a family and a mortgage. So yeah, I've definitely been in that situation.
Yeah.
So you said when you were growing up, obviously, you never imagined you would have this freelance life, and you said about going to drama school, so you want to be an actor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't we all? Well, you two are succeeding at that.
No, you've got to.
We're getting there. So it was just the switch at drama school. You went to drama school and you hated it. Why did you hate it? Question mark.
I think because you have to have a very specific personality type, and I knew very quickly that I didn't have the same kind of drive and the same outgoing nature that is really needed to kind of ride out those tough times. And I think you have to sell yourself, whereas I'm more adept at selling a service or a product rather than myself.
Yeah.
So I think I discovered that wasn't the right life for me.
Yeah.
And also I really wanted to be a millionaire. And you know,
I mean, obviously,
the chances of being a millionaire in any creative industry is, you know, it's quite slim. So I really decided that, you know, I was going to go a different direction.
Yeah. Do you feel like that performer inside you helps you in your career now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I'm a Pisces, so I've kind of got these two sides to my personality. One is this outgoing person that can walk into a room and be quite comfortable with people and build relationships quickly. And the other side of me absolutely is a recluse. You know, I love being alone. I like working alone, and trying to kind of match those two sides of my personality and find the right work environment for me has been very, very difficult.
Yeah. You're like that.
I am like that. I'm not a Pisces.
Water
obviously.
sign, Cancer.
Yeah, Cancer. Yeah, so I'm very much like that. Like sometimes I'm great and I like can be like the life and soul of the party, can't I? But then other times I'm like, leave me alone.
Yeah,
I just need to be on my own in my own space.
And don't you find that being a freelancer really suits that?
It does.
You can choose.
It does. It does. But I do find sometimes I become such a recluse that I'm like, I'm lonely.
Yeah.
I'm lonely now. Where are my people?
It can be like
I like
that.
go and sing to the dog or something.
Yeah,
you know,
I love
like
that. You can just stand up in an office and just sing.
This is
so
it.
true.
This is it. Exactly.
So true.
Oh,
Right. Okay.
I'll sing to you if you want.
No, you do
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome.
Thanks so much. So tell us a little bit then about your writing and how you got into that. Do you think, having wanted to be an actor when you were younger, do you think that encouraged your creativity in the writing realm as a different, I guess, way of getting getting into the creative industry?
As a creative, I think you are driven to create, you know, whether that's via the process of creation or whether that's to produce an end product. And I love producing an end product. And for me, I've always had a book inside me. It's a cliche. Lots of people say it, but it's true. And I've been trying to write that book since I was 15. So it's gone through different iterations, of course, over the years as I've, you know, changed as a person. But I always knew that I wanted to write. And I think it's an element of escapism. It's a life that I haven't explored myself, but I can explore through writing. A bit like acting, as you say, it's something that you can try out. And being a multi-hyphenate type, where you want to kind of have all these different avenues, it's just another way to live a life, you know?
Yeah,
so writing has been quite therapeutic in some ways.
Yeah.
So, sorry. Well, what genres do you write? Like, what's your favourite?
Dystopian, which is not very popular at the moment. I've missed my calling. You know, it's not the Hunger Games era anymore. So yes, dystopian thriller. I write sapphic romance.
Okay.
So kind of a bit cross genre, which is exciting. You know, why zig when everybody is zagging?
Exactly.
That's it.
That's such a good
Zag when everyone's zigging. That's it.
Zag, yeah.
Well, I can tell everyone it's a fantastic book. It's so good.
Thanks.
It is. It really, really is. I read it in like 2 days, and I never do that. Literally, it was like a page turner, because every chapter you would leave like on a cliffhanger. I'd be like, I have to know what happens next. I have to know. Literally, like, but it really, really was good, and you could tell like you put your heart and soul into it. And I think that's like, I hope it takes off for you. I really do. Because
I didn't know if anybody would read it because it's quite Marmite. It's quite niche.
But it is. Yeah, it is quite niche. Like, but equally, it's so readable. And I think you don't have to just be within the Sapphic community to read it either.
Yeah.
Like I think it really is for everyone.
Wait, so for those who don't know what Sapphic is, what is that?
Lesbians.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
There we go. It was just for the listeners.
Just for
not
the listeners,
me.
not for you at all.
Not for me at all.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting book. Definitely worth a read. Like I say, I don't think you have to be like gay to read it at all.
Yeah.
Because it's not. And I said this to you, didn't I? I said it's not just about the genders of the people. It's about their tumultuous relationship.
Yeah.
You know, it's about the relationship. It's not about the sexuality of it all ever. You know, that's what I got from it anyway. And I thought that was, and I don't know whether that was on purpose or not, but I really enjoyed that part of it.
Thank you very much.
Because I find like sometimes it's so other. It's so like, this is just for gay people, or this is just for lesbians or whatever. And it's like, actually, you never made it a point of being just for anyone. It's kind of
dystopian is the main genre, I would say.
That's it, exactly. So yeah,
it's
anyway,
just like the Hunger Games with a sprinkle of lesbians.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best way, right?
Yeah.
What's the name of it? Can you say?
It's called Watch Over Me.
Watch Over Me.
Great. We'll link that
put
in the
that
show
in the
notes for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing.
You're welcome.
So tell us what the best part of the job is for you then, in all the multi-hyphenate jobs that you do.
For me, it was always a lifestyle choice, in the sense that I couldn't fathom doing a 9 to 5. So for me, it's about the flexibility, being able to say yes and no, having that sense of autonomy in your daily routine, not having a boss to tell you what to do, and you may take your lunch break now. You know, I can eat when I want. That's you know, that was quite attractive, really, to be a freelancer. And being able to kind of go and go to my children's sports day and things like that without having to ask permission. Just being able to make those decisions for myself, I think those are the key things about being a freelancer.
Definitely. Do you find it hard to take breaks?
Yes, yeah. Ironically, I think they say, don't you go from a 9 to 5 to a 9 to 9.
Yeah, that's it. That's
so
it.
true.
I'm always like, Francesca, have you taken a break today?
No.
She's like, no.
What's that?
What's that? Sorry, I don't know this word.
But how lovely to be driven by your passions.
Yeah.
You know, making decisions on a daily basis that reflect who you want to be and who you are. I love that about it. I'm not given a set of tasks and told, you know, you have to complete these by such and such. I can decide, this is the project I really want to work on. I love this.
Yeah.
And just being able to kind of live authentically is a really big thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Having that self-motivation to keep going on that drive, you know, never stopping, I think is so important.
It's worth it so much more when you have that end result and you're like, I did that. That was all me. That's, you know, like it you achieve that. Such a sense of achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that end product, I really enjoy that. So I think you're driven by your own goals and your own motivations.
Yeah. Obviously, since COVID and everything, there's been more freelancers coming to the table, basically, and doing their own thing. And that's just because of big, swift changes at things, you know, with the world and everything, the way that it's going. So how do you keep connecting with your community in a world where innovation and change is constantly happening? Like, do you find that you need to adapt all the time? Like, how do you navigate it?
There are so many parts to that question.
Yeah.
I think the first one is that when COVID hit, as you've rightly said, people turned to freelance work to, you know, pay their bills. And I felt like the world had suddenly realised what I'd realised, you know, 10, 20 years ago about this kind of lifestyle. And suddenly now it's exploded and everybody's on the right side of life, you know. I think the second part of that question about innovation is interesting because my values, innovation isn't one of my values. So I'm not somebody who follows trends because I think if you're following a trend, you're just walking into a crowd. It's much better, you know, when everybody, you know, is zigging, you zag. And that's the way that you stand out. So I'm not particularly keen on connecting to make sure that I'm keeping up with the Joneses as such. And I feel that the quality of connections is more important than the quantity. So for me, although social media is a necessary evil, you have to have a presence. I feel that in terms of networking, I have a few close connections, really good quality with people I trust and know that we support each other. And so that can happen offline.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big question.
It's huge.
It's like, where do you start?
Yeah,
no,
huge,
it is.
Huge.
And you're quite an avid social media poster, aren't you?
Would you say so?
You do loads of TikToks. Well, you're always on my feed.
Well, hang on.
I'm like, it's Kate Hennessy, Kate Hennessy, Kate
Is
Hennessy.
that your algorithm, though? Is that what
Wow,
maybe.
Well, maybe. Finally in person, guys. How do you kind of come up with that content?
Well, I have two sides of me, as in everything. There's one side of me that's got a spreadsheet that goes through, and I use ChatGPT to kind of help me come up with things that will be valuable to my audience. So it's knowing your audience and understanding what they want to see. Secondly, it's about just having 5 minutes in the day where I go, I'll quickly make something, and it's just off the cuff. So I kind of yo-yo. Some days I'm really productive and I've produced 7 pieces of content, and the other day I've got nothing in my brain. It's like I yo-yo, which I think is a common experience for most social media users. So.
And how do you kind of keep on top of it? Because obviously we create a lot of content for our socials for the podcast, and we're like, it's a full-time job. How do you kind of, because we're kind of like, but we're not getting paid for it. Like, how do you put that into perspective for yourself?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think that with social media, it's a love-hate thing, and you have to understand why you're posting. If you understand that you're posting not to follow a trend and just have this kind of mindless interaction with social media, but that you're actually doing it to impart your knowledge, to grow your brand, then I think that it becomes a different beast, if you like. So I think it's just about staying really clear with your objectives. Why are you using social media? And making sure that you stick to that religiously and trying to be consistent. I mean, we're always fed this idea that you have to be consistent, you have to post every day. But I think it's about just having that regular routine so that you kind of get into the swing of things.
There's such a pressure to churn out content. And we've met so many like social media managers on this who also say like people get stuck in that notion that they need to have more quantity than quality, and it's actually, well, if you post one useful thing a day, that would make more of an impact than 3 posts a day just for the sake of posting.
Absolutely.
So like we've tried to navigate this in terms of how much to post, and is it quality that we're giving, but we also want to give fun and vibrancy, and it's like
difficult.
It is a journey.
I think you need to look at your metrics as well, understanding which posts have converted
done well.
Look at what your success criteria is. Is it likes? Is it follows? And making sure that you duplicate the content that has brought you in the success according to that criteria.
Definitely.
That's what we need to keep navigating.
That's it. But there's only so many hours in the day.
You just want to switch it off though, don't you?
Oh my god, so much.
Can someone do it for us?
It's interesting because about 2 years ago my Facebook got hacked. And I lost everything, and the scammer stole money from me and everything. It was a really traumatic experience, and I'm a bit embarrassed to even use the word trauma in relation to it, because what is social media? It's meaningless really, but it was really harrowing, and I made the decision not to go back. But that really impacted my business, and that was a really difficult recovery. And I think that it forces you to look at other ways to reach clients. So actually, it's quite a useful exercise to abstain from social media for one, and have a look at whether you can run a business successfully without it.
I didn't think about that really.
We don't, do we? We're trained just to think that social media
that's
is
the way forward. But there's loads of avenues, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Really,
Have you ever been to sort of those dreaded networking events or anything like that to try and get more clients? No.
I'm not a social person. I'm social when I need to be, when I'm in a professional situation, and obviously I rely on my sort of acting background to enable me to do that. But essentially I'm not a performer, so I don't like to kind of go to networking events. It feels very false.
And we always say that as well. It just feels icky. It's like
everyone's there for a reason.
And it's like it just dropped me out.
It would be nice if people just went there just to get to know other people on a genuine level, but it just feels like everyone's out for one
to
another,
get a job,
and it's this pressure, and it's just
I find I make the best connections like when I just randomly meet
people,
organically, and then you end up working with me. You're like, oh my god, I never imagined that for us.
But word of mouth has always been successful for me. That's been the thing that's really kept me going.
For sure.
For sure.
What's one piece of advice you'd kind of give to someone thinking about going into the freelancing world?
This is on my notes.
Love that.
I am post 40 and my brain does not work in the same way as it used to. So my advice really is to be really clear on your goals, because, as I mentioned earlier, being a multi-hyphenate in particular is a great thing in your 20s. But as you get older, it doesn't serve you so well anymore. And I always use the analogy of somebody who needs a heart operation. Do they choose a general surgeon, or do they choose a heart surgeon? Now, I'm sure that most people would automatically think that the heart surgeon had more knowledge, more skill. That may not necessarily be the case, but because they are known as being a heart surgeon and they've put it out there that that is their specialism, they're the ones who are kind of succeeding. They're the ones who can command, higher interest and finance in some industries. And therefore, I think that you have to start thinking about what it is that you really want to do. What do you stand for? What's your voice? Who are you? And that way you can really carve out your niche.
Great Definitely. Advice. I think that's wonderful advice. And I think advice that we probably will need at some point. Yeah. You know, we're still in our 20s, just.
Well, next week, is it next week? You will be older.
All right, I'll be 28. It's fine. But I'll take it. I've still got 2 years till I'm 30, so it's all good.
2 years to make
and
it.
And then I'll start thinking about niching down.
Yeah.
You know, into what. But I think by 30, I guess, you know, I've been doing this for 4 years now. I'm sure I'll have a clearer idea of like really what is really working for me, as opposed to doing all of these things.
And what you love. I think the best living is at the intersection of something you love and something that you can earn a living.
Yeah. Wise words.
So we always do this with our guests. We do a little guest game. Okay. So would you rather?
Okay.
Would you rather live on a peaceful tropical island or a bustling big city?
Oh, the tropical island.
Knew you was going to say that. Yeah. After all your answers, I'm like,
I feel like we have a 90% success rate on this one, the tropical island.
Would you rather have to start a new job every year until you retire, or have only one job your entire career?
Oh my goodness. Oh no, that's impossible to answer. I think probably the one job, ironically. Yeah, I would have answered that differently in my 20s, I think.
Yeah.
Would you rather spend your money travelling the world but have few personal possessions, or have a really amazing house but never leave your hometown?
Oh, the amazing house and never leave my hometown. I'm not big into travelling.
I love travel.
Would you rather have to wear all black every day for the rest of your life, or have to mix every colour of the rainbow into your outfit every day?
Well, I have children, so I don't have much time to think about my outfit, so I'll have to go for the black.
Oh my God, everyone keeps saying that. I can't believe it.
Everyone's siding with me. I'm quite happy about it.
Would you rather be able to talk with animals or speak every language?
Speak every language.
Would you rather always be 1 hour late or 1 hour early to everything?
1 hour early.
Would you rather be covered toe to neck in tattoos or have one big face tattoo?
I'll go with the first one. Yeah.
Like neck to toe.
Yeah.
We need to
I don't have any tattoos. No. And I'm feeling like it might be like my midlife crisis where I need to get one.
What would you get?
Do it.
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably go for something really cliched, like a star on my wrist.
Oh,
maybe my children's names.
Oh, that's that nice. Would be cute. Yeah, that would be nice.
Would you rather have to speak in rhyme or riddles for the rest of your life?
Rhyme. I think that would be really fun. Yeah, very poetic.
Would you rather have more time or more money?
Oh, goodness me. I mean, I'm driven by money, so... but then, if I had to sacrifice my life for it, I'll go for time.
Would you rather be a freelancer or PAYE?
Oh, freelancer.
All the way. Love that.
And for those listening, they'd probably love to follow your onward journey.
Absolutely.
So where can we find you on socials?
How long have we got? Because
go for it.
Perhaps it's best to put them in the show notes.
No, we will.
If you look up Kate Hennessy, some iteration of me is on Instagram, TikTok, not Facebook. Or the internet, but I'll give you a list.
We'll add it in the show notes. It's all good. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure. It's as scary as I thought.
Thank you. Well, there we go.
Thanks for listening to Not the 9 to 5 podcast. If you like this episode, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel, where we release weekly podcasts every Monday. Comment below to let us know who you'd like to see next on our podcast.
Give this video a thumbs up and maybe share it with a freelance friend or two.
Until next week, everyone,
Keep freelancing.